Morning, Sandy here. Welcome to part 2 of my journey to diagnosis, Ehlers Danlos syndrome. And the credit for the idea to this video goes to Cheyenne Love. If you haven't checked out her channel, please check it out. Cheyenne Love on Google Plus or YouTube. And from her YouTube channel, you can get all of her other social media sites as well. If you didn't see part 1 of my Journey to Diagnosis video, I'll put the link to it in the subscription box below. In video 1, I tried to talk about as much as I could in those 10 minutes. I should have about 10 minutes again this time to fit as much as I can. I talked about my childhood as much as I could with all the health problems that I had. The bladder infections, the insomnia, the asthma, the lung problems, the chronic pains, the growing pains and night pains and stomach problems and getting sick all the time, the migraines, the headaches, sorry, there's a bug. All of those issues that I had. I forgot to mention I quit ballet and tap. I think I did that from about age 8 to 10, and it was just, although I enjoyed it in a lot of ways, but physically on my body it was like torture. I could not do it anymore. It was so hard on my knees, it was so hard on my back, my stomach would hurt. I had hernias from about age 8 or earlier, and I didn't know what they were, and they were very painful and and I had severe stomach problems, and it was torturous. So I quit that. I had a lot of trouble in physical education class, gym class. That was a severe struggle for me, and in grades 4th through 5th grade, which was my last years in public school, those years I spent mostly sitting out in gym class. I didn't participate much in gym class those last 2 years because of all the health problems I was having, especially the problems in my knees and back. So I talked about my yoga apprenticeship. I started that age 14. I had a severe rib dislocation within the first year and a half. I think it was the first year. I had a severe rib dislocation. And although it helped in a lot of ways, it helped me cope with my pain, it was also causing me some other problems because of the stretching. And so where should I take this story next? I guess next I should go to my jobs. My first job I waitressed, and that was extremely difficult, a huge physical challenge. I had a lot of problems with that. That lasted about a year, didn't last long. And I moved on from there to a grocery store as a cashier, which I thought was a huge step up from waitressing. And it was very physically taxing as well. I continued to have extreme pain. I continued to have a lot of pain in my back and legs and feet. And my second job there at the grocery store was the next time I had the next dislocation or damage to a tendon that really changed things for me, and that was my right ankle. Although I worked as a cashier, one day I was helping push a big cart of groceries out. And this cart probably weighs much more than I did. And I leaned my weight into it on my toes and pushed. And as I pushed with my toes, I felt and heard a snap on the inside of my right ankle. My right ankle has never healed. It's never gotten back to normal. When it happened, it was so bad and it hurt so bad, I wanted to know why. Why is this happening? And I went ahead and went to the doctor, and they couldn't tell me what was going on. They took x-rays. As far as they could tell, the x-ray looked okay. And my doctor at the time sent me away saying, "I'm sorry, I don't know what the cause is. I don't see any arthritis. All I can write you is a prescription for pain medicine." And I refused it because my mentality at the time was I didn't take any medicines from the doctor and everything was fixable by natural means, so I thought, and I refused the medicines and went on my way and never found out why I had this problem with my ankle up until I found out I had Ehlers Danlos syndrome. So I continued on limping on this ankle, struggling with this ankle. It was a constant problem. I continued to limp on it all throughout my working years. So that happened about I might have still been 16, actually. Yes, I was. Yes, I was 16 when I started working at the grocery store. So actually my job as waitressing was less than a year, and I was 16 when I started at the grocery store, and I was 17 when I started in the health food industry. The health food industry was at that time my goal, my passion. I wanted to have a career in the health food industry, and I was quite a workaholic, and I really worked hard, and all of the pain I was having, I thought, well, I'm just working too hard. I'm on my feet all day. I had horrible, horrible gut pains, horrible stomach pains. I thought, and I would say to myself in my mind that I used to have IBS, but because I'm doing all these natural healthy things, I've recovered, even though I was still having all of these symptoms. So I constantly just wrote it off and wrote it off and wrote it off. So I have a few minutes left. So I talked about my first, second, and third job. And in the health food industry, I worked at a few different places. I started my first job is a whole nother story, and I'll save that for another time. Anyway, my husband and I really wanted to start a family, and so we had our daughter. And she was born, I was 20 years old when she was born. And she was born at home, and I had a seizure while having her. We were airlifted to a hospital by helicopter. I had severe blood loss, but I was okay. You know, I mean, I didn't need any blood transfusions or anything. But I never recovered. When I was in the hospital, I couldn't lift my legs. The maternity shower where you could go to the sitz bath was only, I mean, it was so small, yet I couldn't lift my leg that high. So I needed a nurse to lift my leg. When I got home, I needed my husband to lift my legs to get me in and out of the tub. I just could not lift them. So, and that's continued now. I drag my feet. It seemed that it had, you know, when, I only have a few minutes left, so I'm sorry if I'm stammering, but, so anyway, that's where it went next. I was seeing my doctor, and I was having a lot of pain. I was struggling a lot. We thought maybe my hips hadn't got back together, you know, that they had separated and not went back together, and that was causing me these problems combined with my other spinal problems, such as a scoliosis, and one leg longer than the other. So this is what we assumed. And it got worse and worse. And I wanted to wait until my daughter was a year old, because I was breastfeeding, before I talked with my doctor about what is going on with me. Because you know, I was breastfeeding, and I wanted to wait out that time in case there was something, you know, that required medicine, or so we started out, you know, trying to find out what was wrong with me, and we thought, well, maybe I have restless leg syndrome. That didn't help. That wasn't it. And maybe my hips didn't go back together, and it's just, it'll get better with time. I seem to have weak tendons, but, you know, I kind of was writing off all the symptoms at that time, making so light of everything, not really realizing, you know, just kind of being that master of pretending you're okay, you know, that you're all right. And I went to seeing other doctors later, as we had moved at the time. I saw one doctor who wasn't really helping me seek out why this was going on, so I changed to another doctor, and I didn't get to stay with him very long before moving back to where my original doctor was. And I'm so glad I did, because when I came back, I needed his his help, because no one was able to figure out what was going on with me. It had gotten so bad I could not stand and cook dinner. I could not stand and do the dishes. The pain had gotten so severe. I had dislocated both my shoulders. I was dislocating joints just daily. I was waking up with the most severe pain and you know, dislocated joints, and just I was going downhill fast and didn't know why. I thought I must have a nutritional deficiency making my tendons weak, and we're going to find out what it is I'm thinking, and we're going to fix this. I went to my doctor. I tell him this, and you know, I'm taking manganese. You know, how do we fix this? What's going on? Why are my tendons so weak? And the puzzle is put together. He asks me, has anyone said Ehlers Danlos syndrome to you? I said, what? And I'd never heard it before. No. And he said that all of these symptoms that you have are very reminiscent of Ehlers Danlos syndrome. And I really didn't believe it. When he told me what it was, I said, I don't think I have that, this incurable disease that, you know, I don't have that, I thought. And once I started getting the information about what Ehlers Danlos syndrome was, and it started to explain so much of what I had gone through. It explained so much. And so when it comes to that, my doctor was it was life-changing. And so I think I'm about out of my 10 minutes. I'm hoping everything went well with this recording. I'll be making a part 3 here as soon as I can. And I want to say thank you so much to all of you zebras out there. I've gotten so much support from so many of you. Cheyenne, Sarah, Mrs. Supermom, Stephanie McManus. You're all awesome, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all later. Bye. Keep fighting.